Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday once again. It's Charity Smith, Miss Mogul, the host of Master Your Morning with Miss Mogul. Today we have the final installment of our series featuring Disney's approach to leadership and excellence. This show has been sponsored by Texas Women's University, specifically the Center for Women in Business. All month long, we have been talking about Disney's approach to leadership, how it differs from our personal paradigms for leadership, what Disney has done, and what now you can do to build the same kind of legacy, brand, stability in the market that Disney has enjoyed for so long. Want to say again, thank you to Texas Women University, specifically Shannon Montero, who is the director of the Center for Women in Business, for sponsoring this very important series. Want to do a quick recap of the shows this month. We have had some really in-depth discussions, and thank you all, by the way, for posting your comments on the page. And I invite you to do that throughout the segment, by the way. And after the show, I'll have some time to respond to those questions and comments about leadership. And matter of fact, I would love to hear from you, and I'm sure Shannon would as well, hear about how this series has impacted you, what you've learned, what you've garnered since participating in the series. How has your leadership paradigm or execution changed? What are you doing now that you were not doing prior to the series? We want to hear about that. So at the beginning of the series, we talked about teams and how Disney's approach to team building really is about the collective body of people. So leadership, excellence, and accolades are not laid at the top or at the feet of one specific person, but they call their participants cast members because they believe, as I hope now you believe, everyone has a part to play. Everyone is significant and important in the system of success and the culture of success that we want to create for our businesses and for our brands. So what we have learned is that Disney's approach has always been there is no I in team. It really is a collective body of brilliant, capable, talented people coming together, and then leadership flows throughout the team, but of course there's a decision maker. But the point that I think that we're trying to drive home, and I hope the point that you're getting with all of this, is that your members, your vendors, your employees, your contractors, everyone you depend on for the success of your business, from a logistical, managerial standpoint, from a human resources standpoint, everyone you depend on has a significant part to play, and we want to entreat them that way. So I certainly hope that was what you took away from that first show. Really important. And again, it was about creating a culture of value, really. It's about esteeming your employees and really making them feel a part of the production of success. And here is the one thing that we really did learn in the first part of that series, is that in that success really is shared. It's not just one person takes all of the credit, but when something great happens, the team celebrates that success. When there's a challenge, it's not one person pointing the finger at the other person. The team approaches that issue as a challenge for the team. So everyone brings their problem-solving skills to the table, and not to finger point, but to really meet the answer of whatever that challenge is. That is such a shift in paradigms from what we've seen in popular culture. We have seen, well, let me just speak personally. What I've seen is that if there is a success, all of the success and all of the accolades go to the CEO or go to whoever the quote unquote leader is. But those who really facilitated those actions that led to success are not necessarily in the limelight or on the stage. They don't get a chance to participate in that. What Disney is saying is that when one is successful, the team is successful. I really appreciate that approach to leadership. Again, that was show number one. Show number two was accountability. And here is where we jumped into that challenge part. So what do you do when your organization has been met with a challenge? Does the buck stop with where the challenge is, or how do we approach challenges? How do we approach what we consider to be problems or glitches in the system? Disney has said we be accountable for that. So if I make a mistake in the logistics, I own that completely. I don't shift the blame. I don't pass the buck. I say, hey guys, I made a mistake here. How can you help me? What do you see here that will help me or help the team move the challenge forward? It's not about passing the buck. Another thing that we learned in show number 2 was transparency. Transparency accompanies accountability. So important. We had a very important discussion offline after show number 2, and I wanted to bring some of the highlights. We talked about where culture says leadership is now. We've talked about the national culture and now how we're seeing national leadership displayed, and where we're finding some challenges in that paradigm. It's not working. When we see leadership cause people to be divisive, and what I mean by that is there's a side that you have to choose. It's an us versus them approach. No one wins there. But when you find leadership that says, I value your opinion, or, yeah, we have a challenge here. How do we, leadership included, how do we come to the table and now help to mitigate this issue? Or how do we fix this issue as a team? We find out that everyone leaves the situation with integrity intact, self-esteem is intact. More times than not, the team is still committed to the organization, and fewer times you find people in turnover. Now look at national leadership. We had this discussion online. National leadership, we've seen turnover. And I mean, it has been gut-wrenching to see what the turnover looks like. But there has been this us versus them approach to leadership. I'll just say this. I wish national leadership would have taken this symposium. Probably wouldn't have had some of the issues that we're having now. But that's a different story. I digress. But what we're finding out is that when we have an inclusion in leadership where we make folks accountable, not in the negative sense, but in the positive sense, we find out that turnover in our organizations is more diminished. We minimize the risk of losing great employees. We minimize folks looking for jobs on time, on the clock, and productivity going down while turnover is going up. We minimize those features when we have an inclusion in the leadership and an inclusion in the accountability. So many great things about those first 2 shows. Before we go into the next segment, want to give you this first commercial. After that commercial, we'll talk about show number 3. We'll dive right quick into show number 4, and we'll close out the series. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Wait no longer. The Roar Shop is open and just in time for the fall. Shop our line of tees, shirts, mugs, and more. Choose the perfect piece for you or a friend. Peruse our shop today and roar your own unique sense of beauty. Be sure to pick up a copy of the book that inspired it all, The Roar of a Woman. Go to www.charity.com. www.charity.com.
And we are back. Now, let's dive into show number 3. Here is where there was a lot of meat and a lot of discussion online about managers versus leaders. I hope that you all took that checklist away and really did kind of discover where you find yourself in the execution of both. Here is what we know about managers and leaders. We need them both. One does not operate exclusive of the other. However, the manager has a very immediate view of what's going on in the business, objectives, deadlines. And the opposite of that is the leader has a panoramic view. So purview and perspective are everything. The manager, and I did the little demonstration, the manager is really at eye level here. They're looking at what's immediate, what's in front of them, and there really isn't the opportunity to coach the employee or the team players into their role of leadership, because they're really just focused on getting the objectives met. However, a real leader has a panoramic view, a higher view of where the organization should be going, and thereby is able to identify folks who are able to climb or go higher in their particular role in the organization. We need them both. Leaders are those folks who really do develop people. Managers are concerned with moving the objectives and moving the logistics forward. Leaders are more concerned. They're equally concerned with the logistics and the day-to-day and the operations. But leaders are more so engaged in moving people forward, helping people identify their best qualities and how those qualities fit into the landscape of success within the organization. We need them both. And so I hope what you found out in show number 3 is if you're a manager, but you're still executing as, if you're a leader and you're executing as a manager, that can be conflicting to your organization. If you're a leader, then we need the leader to be developing people and developing the vision and the morale of the company, and let managers do what they do best and manage those objectives to keep us on point with our checkpoints, benchmarks, etc. So if you're a leader and you're operating as a manager, you're not getting the best out of you, and you're certainly not getting the best out of your human resources, your partners, your cast members, those folks who work with you. Flip side of that, if you're a manager and you're able to see where this company can go, or if you're able to play a more directive role in the company, perhaps it's time now to have a conversation about moving you from eye level to panoramic level, to give you more access, if you will, in how to move the organization's people forward, the vision forward. So leaders, if you have not already, take some time. I want to encourage you to take some time and identify those team players within your organization who have the potential to move from managers to leaders. And flip side of that, if you have managers who are really great at what they do, they manage the day-to-day details well, and they're just excellent. That's where their gifting is. Reward them, appreciate them, tell them that you appreciate them staying on top of the day-to-day, because if we have everybody here at the top level and everybody's in the boardroom brainstorming and no one is actually executing, then we still have a failed paradigm and a failed model. We need managers. We need really good managers. So leaders, managers, work together. And when we have this synergy between leadership and managers, we have a well-oiled machine. We have a machine that can move forward and bring in the success that we're looking at in those annual reports, and also in the morale of those folks who work with you on a day-to-day basis. Woo! So that's the recap of the first 3 shows. Today is the final series, the final show in the series. And today I want to talk to you about legacy, specifically to leaders. Not to say that managers can't have a legacy, but really when we think of legacy, it's what will people remember you for? And unfortunately, sometimes folks don't remember, wow, that manager was excellent in keeping those meetings timely, getting those objectives done. It's sometimes an undersung job, and that's why I really hope that managers are being celebrated by their leaders. But when we think of legacy, what the company will be known for, we think particularly of the Disney Corporation. We don't necessarily think of all the CEOs of Disney. We think of Walt Disney, who was the visionary, who was the first leader, if you will, in the Disney franchise. And so I want to talk to you today, leaders, about what will folks remember you for. At some point, I hope every leader has an exit plan in what they're doing. Now, folks say, well, I'll be doing this forever. If you're doing the same thing, even as a leader forever, you're not maximizing your growth. I have said time and time again, every leader has their eye on the next objective, the next big thing, the next mountaintop, if you will. 5, 10, 15 years down the road, you should be charting yourself ahead. You should not be 5 years from now, even as a leader, doing the same thing that you're doing now. That means your growth is stunted, and somewhere you're not maximizing all of your potential for whatever reason. So what will folks know you for? So if you started this business today and you've been here for 15, 20, 25 years, what will people say about you? What will people say about your business? Here is the definition of legacy, and I want you to keep this in mind. Legacy is a gift by will, especially of money or other personal property. It's something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past. So when you are at the helm of this business and it's at its peak, leader, have you already identified your successor? Now, we don't like to always think about that because we'd like to think that we'll always be a valuable contributor to the company. And that's true. It just should not be in the same role. Real leaders, in my opinion, I'm going to give you my opinion. Real leaders, in my opinion, are always looking at the landscape to see, again, who can they develop for the next role of leadership. Because as a leader, even if this particular venture is successful, I want to multiply it. I want to grow it. So if I'm going to multiply it, grow it, or venture into the next caveat to that, I have to have a different role, a different mindset, a different paradigm, a different function, even in leadership. Who's your successor? Have you begun to mentor those managers or those workers that you have surrounded yourself with? And if you're any leader, and if you're worth your salt in leadership, you have not surrounded yourself with yes people. Now, I'll say that again. You have not done that. Otherwise, iron isn't sharpening iron. You're not your best unless someone is challenging your thinking or your paradigm. So I want to encourage you to, one, think about who's in your landscape now. Who's the next big player? Where's the next big idea coming? Stay tuned. We're going to take this one more commercial and I'll be right back.
The course that teaches women how to get what they want is now available online. Businesswoman and creator of Death of a Nice Girl, Lisa Ann Alexander, will guide you in identifying what you really want, share 3 communication tips to help you ask, and then give you 10 negotiation strategies for when the answer is no. So if you're ready to unlearn being quiet, sign up today and start asking today. Go to www.thecouragetoask.com. That's www.thecouragetoask.com.
We are back. So we're talking about legacy today, leaders. Who, again, going back to the previous statements, who have you identified? Where do you see potential? Where do you see vision in those who are around you? Because again, going back to my previous statement, what I hope you have not done is surround yourself with mediocrity, with people who won't challenge you respectfully, who won't challenge you or sharpen you or question you. I hope you have not done that, because you have to be able to vet your own ideas. You have to be able to vet your own vision and get that feedback and see if it's viable, if it's realistic, if it's honest or not. So with that being said, what I'm hoping you have done as a leader is surround people around you who are the best at what they do, or they're definitely striving to be that, and just with a bit of mentoring and coaching can absolutely be that. Who have you identified? Are you now training them to be a replacement, or to be a leader, or to be a successor of some kind? Here's what Disney had to say about leadership, and we found this in the manual that we received at the symposium. Here's what the what the Leadership Institute had to say about legacy. Every leader leaves a legacy. Every leader leaves a legacy, which is the aggregate of the story he or she has told over time. Your legacy is what you've done over a period of time, the people you've mentored over a period of time, the vision you've executed over a period of time, the mission that you have engaged your company in, and how you've engaged people in that mission over a period of time. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're writing your legacy every day. So if you're the leader who's always in the watchtower, always behind closed doors, we never see you, hear you, we don't know your heart, your vision, we don't know your passion, we don't know your drive, we don't know what keeps you going at night, how in the world do you expect that kind of commitment to be in your managers or your human resources, your personnel? How? It won't be there. It won't happen. So what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, even as a leader, you're writing what people will say about you. I can tell you what people will say about me. I'm committed. I'm driven. I don't ask anything of you that I don't ask of myself. If I'm staying late, I can ask you to stay late because I'm in the trenches with you. If I'm digging deep, I can ask you to dig deep because I'm there in the trenches with you. So leaders have to be able to migrate the trenches and go back to the tower almost simultaneously. I mean, there's this constant tandem that leaders are in, where we're in the mix of it with our leaders, with our managers, but we also have to maintain vision. You're writing your legacy every day, whether you're aware of it or not. So if there is a breach of communication, if information isn't free flowing, that's a part of your legacy. Do you really want to be known for that? Or do you want to be the kind of leader that empowers their people with information to think, to examine, to break open and research? Do you want to be that kind of leader that calls on their leaders to bring out the best in them? I hope you're saying, yeah, I want to be that kind of leader. So every day you're writing your leadership legacy. Your legacy will be measured by how your workers and co-workers feel, not think, how they feel about you as a person and how they act as a result of your leadership, not just from your performance results or your annual reviews. I'm going to read that again. Your legacy, according to Disney, is measured by how co-workers feel about you as a person and how they act as a result of your leadership, not just your performance on annual reviews or results. What that means is people want to be able to connect to you as a leader. Now, that's not to say that you spill your guts and you tell all of your business, because sometimes we just don't need to know all of that. But those who work around you want to know that they know you. There's a sense of integrity. They want to know they can trust you. That's really what that statement is saying. Folks want to know they can trust you as a person. And if they can trust you as a person, they'll trust your leadership. That's really what he's saying there. So it's not about performance. You can be the most performance-driven CEO out there, the most performance-driven founder out there. But if people don't trust you, and if people don't know you, you'll find yourself working harder and not smarter instead of really maximizing the efforts of all of those around you, which is the definition of working smarter. Good stuff. Good stuff. Here's another thing Disney had to say. Great leaders intentionally write their legacy. So if you're taking notes, that's a good place to take one. Leaders, great leaders, intentionally write their legacy. What does that mean? They're conscious about what they're doing on a daily basis. They're in tune with what they want people to remember about them and what they want people to say about them. So every day they go into the office with the mindset of, when I leave today, I want my workers to feel good about working with me. When we go into the office today, I want people to feel great about working with Mogul Life Real Estate. When we go into the office today, I want folks to feel passionate about the Roar Shop. I want my designers to feel free to explore. That's what you do as a leader, because at the end of the day, it's how you make people feel about you as a leader that determines your legacy in leadership. It's not your performance. It's about how you make people feel. That's all kinds of good stuff, right? Right. Yeah. So yeah, right. That's good stuff. You must be true to your values. Your legacy is designed by your behaviors, not your intentions. So if you're taking notes, please write that down. And this is kind of going to be the last nugget, if you will, of the series. You must be true to your values. Now, this isn't just Disney. I'm going to co-sign this one. You must be true to your values. Your legacy is designed by your behaviors, not your intention. My mother always tells me, people know what you do. They don't know what you think. And I used to think that was kind of a peculiar statement, but now I absolutely get it as a leader. People don't know what I intended to do. They only know what I did. And so it's mine. It's incumbent upon me to make sure that my actions align with my intentions. Oh, so if you're taking notes, write that down. Leaders specifically, make sure that your actions align with your intentions. So if you intend to be good to your people, be good to your people. If you intend to support your managers, support your managers. If you intend to have a creative environment, create a creative environment. People don't know your intentions. You can have the best intentions in the world, but until you execute them, we don't know anything. We just say, well, that was a mediocre leader. And really, you could be thinking, that's what they're thinking of me. But I love the people that I work with. I value my managers and my workforce. They don't know it until you show it. So thank you for tuning in to this series. It's been a pleasure to share this time with you. I hope you have gotten a wealth of knowledge and information from this series. I certainly have. I'm an experienced leader, but you know what what I've figured out even with this series is that I can always better my best. I'm great at what I do, but I can be better. I treat people well that work with me and for me, but I can do better. That's what this leadership series was all about. It's about you taking an assessment and an inventory of where you are as a leader, sharpening those skills, refining those skills, and growing them from there. So thank you so much for tuning in to this 4-part series. Special thanks to TWU Center for Women in Business for sponsoring this particular series. It has been a delight to have this information and to share this time. If you don't know, you can reach out to TWU Center for Women in Business, entrepreneurs and leaders. You need training, you need information, you need resources. I encourage you, reach out to TWU Center for Women in Business and tell Shannon Montero, who is the director there, that I told you to contact her. This particular university is a wealth of information specifically for entrepreneurs who want to grow their footprint and grow their landscape in leadership and entrepreneurship. I encourage you, connect with TWU Center for Women in Business. You will not regret that commitment whatsoever. So special thanks also to Disney's leadership. Disney was the resource that we used here. So all of the information was based out of this particular manual that I got from Disney. Well, not all of it, but much of the content was based there. Special thanks to them for providing this wealth of information during the symposium this year. Excited to share that information with you. And I encourage you, 2019, TWU is sponsoring another symposium with Disney. Please connect. You'll get this information and more, and you will not regret it whatsoever. So I encourage all you business leaders, go to twu.edu / I believe Center for Women in Business. Look up the 2019 symposium. Make your plans now to attend that symposium. You just may see me there. This show has also been brought to you by Mogul Life Real Estate and Lifestyle. If you are wanting to learn how to grow your passive income or learn how to do real estate investing successfully, I encourage you, reach out to us, 281-676-9857. Call the office and say, yes, I would like to have that training. We'll be happy to send that to you or enroll you in the upcoming class. Ladies, specifically, I want to speak to you. It's incumbent upon you to create your own economy. Do that by enrolling in these classes. Many of you know that I have just returned back from tour. I'm so excited. The Tupelo tour of The Roar of a Woman, that tells you I'm still tired and sleepy from the travels. I've got no rest. But that was such a successful time. I had the opportunity to do the book signing at Reed's Gumtree Bookstore. Reed's is a historic elite business in the city of Tupelo, established in 1905. Wonderful reception there. Met a lady from England, no less, who had heard about The Roar of a Woman on the plane from England to Mississippi. Had no idea she would run into me. She had heard about the book in England. Met her in Tupelo. Needless to say, we screamed, laughed, and hugged. And hey, The Roar is global. Ladies in England are now talking about The Roar of a Woman, and that book will be featured in one of their book clubs. Also had the pleasure of hanging out at the Communities Forward Festival and speaking to city officials and over 20,000 citizens of Tupelo, Mississippi, at the gracious invitation of City Council member Nettie Davis of Ward 4. I'm so thankful for that. Also, the mayor Mayor Jason Shelton rolled out the red carpet. He was very gracious as well. So glad to be there in the city of Tupelo for the tour. I'll be back. By the way, if you don't know, the book is in the Barnes and Noble bookstore there. If you have that picture, if you'll put it up for me, Michael. The Roar of a Woman is at the Barnes and Noble at Barnes Crossing Mall. There it is. You can get that book. It's on the shelves now. Go in and ask for it by name. The Roar of a Woman is on bookshelves at Barnes and Noble. All kinds of good stuff. Finally, the Roar Shop. Yes, the store is open and ready for business. So if you want your Roar apparel, the Roar of a Woman book, your coffee mugs, all of that wonderful stuff, go to charity.com/shop, pull out your credit card and let her rip. It's almost time for the holidays. These are great gifts of inspiration for women, whether they're college students, moms, entrepreneurs, empty nesters. Every woman wants to feel empowered, and you can help a woman do that by going to the Roar Shop, finding a shirt, a mug, the book. And I'm adding to the lineup. Stay tuned for that. I have some accessories coming out soon. It's just a great place to shop. You will enjoy your shopping experience. Order the books. I'll sign them personally and ship them out to you. And listen, that's my time today. I've run out of time. I told Michael I didn't think I would have a full show today. As luck would have it, I can talk and I'll run past my 30 minutes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody, whether you're in the U.S., around the world, wherever you find yourself, thank you so much for tuning in. Next week, we start another powerful series. Don't miss it. I look forward to seeing you then. And if you didn't know, now you know. You have just mastered your morning. I'll see you next week.